Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Talk Trio. This is episode 6, another normal episode. So today we'll get right into it with college football. This past Saturday, one of the bigger games, not the greatest slate, but a pretty decent one. One of the bigger games in Pac-12 was Washington versus Utah at Washington in Seattle. This was a great game. Bryson Barnes has been receiving a lot of critical thoughts by fans, the Utah quarterback, but he played great against Washington. It was tough weather conditions in Seattle as well, so that was a great game, but Washington eventually pulled it out. And Washington has played a couple close games this year that they probably should have won, though.
Yeah, I feel for Utah here. It feels like they're kind of the Penn State of the Pac-12 this year, where they're a really solid team, but they can't quite break through against the better teams. Their 3 losses are Oregon State, Washington, and Oregon. So they kind of play like you'd expect against the competition they're given. But I think the key here is Washington picked up another win, stayed undefeated down the stretch now with the college football playoff coming up. Michael Penix Jr. looked great again, so I think he's probably the Heisman frontrunner at this point, and he kept that alive here.
Yeah, Washington's kind of been holding on by the thread the last 5 weeks or so. I'll get to it later, but I think their luck's going to kind of run out soon. It almost ran out with that linebacker drop, or was it defensive back dropping the ball on that one turnover right before? It could have been a lot better game, but they're making it hard to come by. So I think their luck's going to run out. But back to what you were saying, I thought that was actually a great comparison, calling Utah the Pac-12 version of Penn State. So I thought that was a pretty good take.
Speaking of Penn State, Penn State played Michigan this past week, lost 24-15. And obviously there's a lot going on with Jim Harbaugh out. I forgot what the coach's name was. You somehow remember it. What was his name?
Can't put me on the spot like that.
But the coach, he did great. I mean, I think it's time for James Franklin to go. He's not going to win any big games there.
Sharon Moore is the coach's name.
Corny,
really corny.
James Franklin, everyone on Michigan's team is corny, by the way.
The post-game interview crying for Harbaugh is crazy.
Yeah, that was a little much.
That was a lot.
J.J. McCarthy is corny as well.
They're all corny, but he was crying like Harbaugh died. It's not that serious.
James Franklin needs to go, in my opinion. Offensive play calling was terrible. Drew Aller didn't play great, but he's not built for those big games yet. But fire James Franklin. There was an interview after the game. It was he had a terrible response to one of the reporters' questions. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think for Penn State, they kind of found their scapegoat. They did just fire their offensive coordinator, Mike Yurcich. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. But yeah, they fired him. The play calling has been terrible, so I get why they fired somebody, but I agree with Drew. I think they fired the wrong guy. I think Franklin has pretty much full control of that offense.
I think he's a really good recruiter.
Yeah,
he's not a good recruiter.
I think anybody could be a good recruiter at Penn State, though.
That's true.
Yeah, I think
anybody can succeed recruiting.
He's not a bad coach, because credit to Penn State for all the losses they have to Michigan and Ohio State. They generally don't lose to those other worse teams.
Yeah,
they're pretty consistent with
the drop offs
they're supposed to beat.
Significant.
But yeah, he just can't win the big games. At some point, you got to change it. Firing the offensive coordinator isn't going to do that.
I think it's a start, though. You gotta do something somewhat. So, alert! Oregon State and Washington State have just been granted sole control of the whole Pac-12 conference. So they will have I know we're kind of in the messes of some breaking news, but they will kind of have the leeway to try and make their own, kind of save the conference and try to
get some
put it back together. Hopefully, maybe get it to 8 or 10 teams. I doubt anything more. You're bringing in teams that should never be mentioned with.
I wonder if we could see a FCS team make it. Maybe Montana.
No,
Obviously not. They don't have.
They're gonna just take from the Mountain West.
I gotta wonder if they turn into a little bit of the Big East in terms of
only football.
Shifting. No, only basketball.
Yeah.
Obviously, Oregon State and Washington State,
Gonzaga,
two good football programs, but
yeah.
There's not, when you look at, for example, the Mountain West or the West
Are you
Coast
saying
Conference,
for those two teams to just go independent for football?
Right, because the main options for the Pac-12, obviously geography is kind of out the window at this point, but if you want to add teams, if you're the Pac-12, which is now just Oregon State, Washington State, you're probably looking at the West Coast Conference and the Mountain West, and the prime teams for that just generally are going to be your Gonzaga, your St. Mary's, your San Diego State, teams like that.
Boise State.
Right.
But like
Boise State,
would Boise State want to join and be like
Exactly.
you need schools
So,
that they don't really care about the
To
football.
me,
And I don't know what they're gonna do.
To me, they're better off becoming a basketball conference like the Big East. I think that's going to be a better move for them than just being kind of a trash football conference and trying to regroup that way.
If you look at the Mountain West, you see Air Force. No, I would not want them. I'd consider UNLV.
Fresno, I could consider Fresno.
If they're
State.
trying to save this as a whole conference, I could see that being
They
a
suck.
complete.
Good basketball history, but
I could see
pretty
Boise
bad at
State.
everything
You
right
can't see Fresno State. You can't see San Jose
Fresno
State.
State's 7-1.
Wyoming. I feel like Wyoming's a consideration, but that's not a valid. Like, I think the point across is there is no Power 5 anymore. It's a
Right.
Power 4, if that. So there's some shakeup in the college world, but it will be interesting to see kind of what those two smaller markets decide to do with the conference in their sole possession.
yeah, if nothing else, I'm happy for them that they got that.
Yeah,
they could have really
because they
got
would have been
screwed.
lost
Yeah.
without it. Both of them would have just ended up in the Mountain West.
Yeah,
So
at least they have some kind of control there.
it'll be interesting to see. The naming rights of the conference might change as well. So
I mean, at some point you got to drop to 12.
yeah, we're gonna go back over to college football after that little interruption. Georgia looked real dominant against a top 10 team in Ole Miss. Nothing really to say about this one. Georgia looked actually like a number 1 team for the first time all year.
Yeah, started off as a good game. Ole Miss, sorry, Ole Miss scored an early touchdown. It was like 7-0. Then they just got dominated later in the game by Georgia. Ole Miss, they got dominated, but one of the Ole Miss players may have made the catch of the year, or the catch of like 5 years or something. I don't know if you guys saw that catch, but he flew backwards, and I don't even know how he caught that ball.
I don't think I remember that catch, but I do want to give a shout out. I'm just looking at the box score here. Great name matchup. Quinshawn Judkins, leading rusher for Ole Miss, and Ladd McConkey, leading receiver for Georgia.
Great name.
2 great names matching up there. Both scored in this game. But, yeah, I picked Ole Miss in this one. I've been struggling to get on the Georgia hype train. I think I might finally have to because they did just beat Mizzou and Ole Miss back-to-back.
Here's the
is
catch,
pretty
guys, on the
impressive.
computer.
Little live reaction to something you guys probably won't see. Oh, my God. That's actually a nasty
Geno
catch.
didn't see it.
I saw this.
he was
I
not
watched
locked
it.
in.
It was the one hand
That is a
snag,
crazy
right?
catch.
But
I've been seeing this one.
it was Ole Miss catch versus Georgia.
And bro's what, 5'9"?
Yeah, he's
he looks
tiny.
small as
That-
can be.
He gets up there, man.
Yeah, that's a wild.
He
yeah,
palms
for
the
sure.
ball. His name is Dayton Wade.
Would
So-
be a little cooler if they didn't lose by 35.
It was-
but
yeah.
we'll give it to
The
them.
score was 45-17 at the time, but it was still made for a great moment. We're going to stay with college football a little bit. Obviously, some tensions going on with the college football playoff this year. So looking at the teams left for the college football playoff, we got Georgia, obviously, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, Oregon, Florida State, Alabama, and Texas. So the college football playoffs rankings actually just came out as we're recording this. Georgia is now number 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, Florida State 4, Washington 5, Oregon 6, Texas 7, and Bama 8. And then we had Louisville in there, but we subbed them out, but they were 9, I believe.
10. Mizzou.
10. Mizzou was ahead of them, which I think is kind of dumb, but...
Louisville sucks. They should not be 10, but
But for me, we're gonna do our rankings based on this. I'm gonna keep Georgia at 1, Ohio State at 2, Michigan at 3. This is tough for me because Washington and Florida State I feel like are interchangeable. They kind of have struggled in some games that they've easily should have won this year. Just give me Washington. They're a more fun team in my opinion. Then I'll go Florida State, Oregon, and then Alabama, then Texas.
yeah, for me, I think same top 5 I've had for like 3 or 4 weeks now. But I think Georgia's got to be 1, Michigan 2, Ohio State 3. Then, like Drew said, Washington, Florida State are close. But I've had Washington ahead this whole time. Beating Utah isn't going to change that. So I got them 4, and then Florida State 5.
Yeah, Michigan, Georgia, Ohio State, Washington, Florida State. I think Washington and Florida State have played similar type score games, but Washington's opponents have been easily better. I think for playoff consideration, looking at it right now, it leaves in a very interesting topic. I think at the end of at the start of December, you could see 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten be in this. I think I see some shakeup happening. I don't think Texas is going to make it.
No.
I don't see them finishing undefeated. I think they're going to drop one of these last 3 games. I don't like Florida State, really. I don't see them going undefeated. Oregon, I think somehow them and Washington somehow both shake up with Washington will lose a game, I think, and I think Oregon could lose the second one. And if you look at that, if Bama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, I think you take both of them if you can. And then say if all that other stuff happens in the Pac-12 and the Big 12, and say if Florida State doesn't win the ACC championship game, I think you take the loser of Michigan, Ohio State. And it could be a conference-on-conference matchup. Obviously you'd probably space it out. The loser of Michigan, Ohio State before against the SEC champ, and then the other two on the other side. But it would be real interesting to see.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's definitely possible. I just feel like Georgia's rolling right now. They're going to beat Bama. I feel like Jalen Milroe's not as good as people say. He's kind of just dominating everyone right now. But for me, my final top four is going to be Georgia at 1. I think they're just going to win out. Ohio State at 2. I'm going to just take them over Michigan. I feel like Michigan just seems very full of themselves right now. I feel like Ohio State's kind of just staying quiet. They have some big wins this year, but they're still staying quiet. That's the big game this year because they do not want to lose 3 in a row. At 3, I'm gonna have Washington, and then at 4, I guess we're gonna say Florida State sneaks in there.
So you're gonna say they go undefeated?
Yeah.
Because if they would lose, they would 100% take a Michigan.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of them.
Well, you had Alabama in there?
No, he didn't.
You didn't?
No.
He had...
Well, I think Georgia's going to beat Bama.
You have Georgia, Ohio State, Washington, Florida State.
So I will say, I saw this on the internet earlier. In theory, if Bama beats Georgia, we could be looking at the same 4-team playoff for the last 4-team playoff as the first one. So we could... There's a scenario where we could get...
Like Florida State, Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Georgia would have to lose to Georgia Tech.
Georgia would have to lose probably 2 games.
Will Washington and Oregon play each other in their respective championship?
Washington, if they handle
Oregon wouldn't be in it, right? It would be Washington and Florida State.
Well, no, I'm talking about Pac-12 championship.
Right, but it doesn't matter.
Florida State is an ACC team.
No, I know what y'all are saying. It doesn't matter, though, because Oregon's not in that 4 teams.
What is he talking?
We're talking about...
The Pac-12 championship.
I know what you're talking about. I'm saying for this scenario.
The first OG playoff.
I'm just talking about...
Alabama was the 1. Ohio State was the 4. The 2-3 was Oregon and Florida State. Oregon won. Yeah, we're saying...
We're talking about this year.
Right now...
I know.
Okay. Is Oregon and Washington will see each other in the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah.
And you brought up Florida State. You were like, no,
I'm talking about this scenario.
I'm just saying what
I know,
was said.
I just didn't understand.
I would just like to stumble up someone else when someone stumbles,
Bro, I didn't stumble. Y'all tripped me up.
All right, keep going with your top 4.
I don't know what... All right, my top 4 is Georgia, OSU, Washington, Florida State. That's what I got.
All right.
I don't think Washington loses. I don't think Florida State loses.
I feel like Oregon's going to beat...
I think OSU beats Michigan. I don't think Georgia loses.
Yeah. So since they can't play in the Pac-12, play each other in Pac-12 championship, but if they did, I think Oregon would win.
They
that
can?
game.
What, do they still do North-South?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think... I know the Big 12 don't, but I think they dropped it, if I'm not mistaken. Because right now, you're looking at like a UCL...
Yeah,
you're looking at Arizona.
Right. So it's Oregon. I think Oregon's going to win that game.
Yeah,
they're going to get revenge on them.
You'll see. I have a lot of shake-up happening. We'll see in my picks the next 2 weeks.
It's possible. A lot can happen.
We will be going virtual next week for our Thanksgiving break podcast. We are going to attempt a Zoom. So tune in for that one if you want to see technical issues.
By the way, the one team we didn't talk about is Texas. We mentioned them as a contender.
They've been holding on the thread.
They're probably screwed. I think their running back just went out for the season too, which is tough.
And Malik Murphy's their quarter. We don't know.
Quinn Ewers is back.
Quinn's back.
So that's gonna help him out. But I guess what would the scenario be for Texas to get in?
You got to win the Big 12.
Well, that obviously
Well,
you would need a Florida State loss. And you would
Washington
probably
loss.
need Oregon to lose next week to Oregon State in the Civil War, and then you would probably need Oregon to beat Washington in the Pac-12
It's going to be... I think that's the hardest team.
Does Oregon need to lose again?
Yeah.
I feel... Over who? Texas?
I think if Oregon...
I don't know, because Texas has losses to a worser team, but they are a conference champ. But that's what I was saying. You take the loser of Ohio State, Michigan,
Yeah.
and end up with... I don't know. So we'll see how that kind of
I think Oregon's
plays out.
a really good team, though. They're legit.
They are terrible. Bo Nix.
Bo Nix is
Put
not
Bo
bad.
Nix in the college football playoff. You will not see double digits on the scoreboard.
I think that Dan Lanning. I got the last name right.
There you go.
Dan Lanning is a really good coach. Don't hate. He's not going to Texas A&M.
That's all I hear.
We got to talk about that for a second because the lists that have come out about Texas A&M coaching candidates have been ridiculous.
Texas A&M.
Does Dion move?
No.
Dion is not going anywhere. The worst one I've seen is Dan Campbell is not going to coach.
I saw
Texas
that
A&M.
one. It was like the list on Instagram.
This dude is
like top
probably
10,
coach
and he
of
was
the
like
year in the
third on
NFL
it. It was
right
No
crazy.
coach is going down to college unless you literally get fired. Like you're literally mad.
Especially not a coach that could win Coach of the Year. He's on a 7-2 team that's never been good before.
No, for sure.
That man is not going anywhere. That's a ridiculous
The
list.
reasoning was that he played tight end at Texas
I know he
A&M
played
in his
there.
old days.
Also, I really hope it doesn't happen. Mike Elko should not be on that list either. He just got a Duke extension.
Yeah.
I understand he's probably not like a Duke lifetime coach. He's going to move up eventually, but it's not happening now.
All right. So that's that with our sort of college football argument. We're going to do an NFL Sunday recap. First thing is the earliest game on Sunday was what kind of scheduling was that for a Germany game? It was Patriots, Colts. Terrible game. It ended 10-6 with the Colts winning. I never watched. I did not watch that game, and I'm glad I didn't. Didn't waste my time at 9:30 in the morning. So
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
it's not much to say.
I feel like the NFL is kind of tripping with that one because they had a game of the year candidate at least before the game happened with Dolphins Chiefs in Germany, and then they followed that up. They're like, oh yeah, the German fans are going to want to see Patriots Colts with Gardner Minshew and Mac Jones. Which I guess, granted, they probably thought Anthony Richardson was going to play when they scheduled that game. But, I mean, I don't know. There's no way they thought that was going to be a good game. That was a Thursday night vibe for a great Germany
don't
crowd.
hate. Thursday night's good this week.
This week it's good, but
last week
we all know
they
Thursday night
made it.
football
They made an
sucks.
amazing comeback of the century. Panthers to Bears to Bengals Ravens.
Yeah, it was rough. Give me one to do. Oh,
In
soft
case
roll.
you can't tell, we got Kansas, Kentucky on this screen right now.
Just supporting my Berg people.
We all know Kansas is going to roll them, but we got to watch it just in case.
You got anything to say about the Germany game?
I was actually up. I was up at 8 a.m. Sunday, but I saw moments of the game. Bailey's. I don't know why Belichick put Zappy in for the final drive 2-minute drill. And I love when they asked him after the game. It was like the worst mumbling I've ever seen. He's like, I just did what I did, man. And then the reporter was like, he was like, you're not answering the question, and he was like, I don't gotta explain myself. You know, it was really bad. It was kind of like me when I wake up, but that was a rough game. Nothing much. We're gonna get to where these guys can go off for a little bit. Browns stop the Ravens' momentum. This is a real back and forth game. 2 pick six, right? 1 for each team.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of happening in this game. I'll let you two kind of take the control on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a game that feels like the Browns are never going to win it. Like, that kind of blown lead is the thing that happens to the Browns. It doesn't happen against the Browns. So me and Drew thought we were screwed, honestly.
Bro, after that Kyle Hamilton pick, I was like, all right, get him over.
It was kind of a weird day for us. We were watching it with more Browns fans than we usually would. And when that first pick six happened, we kind of all looked at each other, like the whole room full of Browns fans. We were all just like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's what we expected.
I don't even get mad anymore.
Yeah. And Drew was saying this earlier when I was watching Duke basketball. He was like, you get a lot madder at Duke basketball than the Browns. I'm like, yeah, I don't expect anything from the Browns.
It's true.
But yeah, it was a crazy game. Great game. I didn't think we had a shot.
It's a great comeback. I mean, shout out Dustin Hopkins. He missed that PAT and then came right back. Got some consolation for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett played great too. He had a sack after a bunch of called penalties.
Back-to-back
Some
sacks.
BS going on there. But whatever. We got a pick in the end zone with Rodney McLeod got a pick. We held a guy in that play. Didn't count. Gus Edwards runs it in. 31-17. And screw you, Odell Beckham. Your dance moves are trash. You lost your team the game. So, thank you.
I got to admit, that slant was nice.
The slant was nice.
That was shades of 2019 against the Jets.
Should have been
Same
batted
thing.
down by Mike Ford Jr., though.
Well, that's our fault for having Mike Ford Jr.
I mean, it's what happens when you have a tiny corner like Denzel Ward out there. But Browns win. That's all that matters.
I'm just hearing nonsense.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares about Mike Ford
put in
Jr.,
I put in my imaginary earbuds. Like I just
We got a
kind
big-
of zoned out.
That's
for a
what we do
little
when you
bit.
talk about Pitt.
We got a big game coming this week.
Yeah, we know how it's gonna go. Lurs on top.
You literally did
You
not.
had the Browns.
You literally
in your
had
picks
the
until
Browns
20 minutes ago.
You still do.
Oh, you still have.
We'll
the Browns.
see. We'll see. I'm feeling a little changey in these next 20 minutes.
My favorite word. Anyway, in other news on Sunday, the Niners bad streak came to an end, and the Jags winning streak came to an end. Niners killed them. It was like 34-3, I think. I mean, I don't know what happened to the Jags in this one. I didn't get to see it, but this was not even close.
I think the Niners they were not going to drop 4 straight. They were kind of playing with their backs against the wall. They were acting like it was like a win or go home type of game, and kind of just absolutely just took a massive dump on the Jags. The Jags kind of looked like frauds in this one. You don't go from 34-3?
Yeah.
I think so.
I would just like to say, since their safety took the terrible towel out of the stands and waved it, they haven't scored a touchdown since.
They did still beat you.
But they haven't scored a touch. You're not listening to the.
I hear what you're saying, but you're letting the other
hasn't
teams
scored
do
a
the work for
touchdown
you.
since. I'm just stating it. Steelers also scored
Congrats
2
on
touchdowns
that.
in the first quarter.
Shout out Alexander Wingard.
I was watching something I've never seen before.
That's not even his name.
Yeah, it is.
No, that's the name of the safety.
Andrew Wingard.
Andrew.
Well, he got the last name right.
That's all that matters.
One for two ain't bad.
Yeah.
The
Jags.
Texans beat the Bengals, and kind of the Bengals were in kind of control of this one until C.J. Stroud, playing with a chip on his shoulder, took this team into victory, and now the Bengals are looking at 5-4 and outside of the playoff picture.
Stroud's a dog. He's like another game-winning drive, game-winning field goal to win against the Bengals. He threw a pick, came back out, won the game for the Texans.
Did you see that kick made a dude $5 million or something
Really?
on a parlay? It was insane.
Oh, I did see that. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He bet $450,000, which I don't know who was just throwing around that money to bet, but good for that dude. Shout out to him.
I love C.J. Stroud. He's one of my favorite players in the league right now. Obviously, he went to Ohio State, so I'm a big fan. But they beat the Bengals too, divisional opponent. Helped us out a lot as a Browns fan.
As a Steelers fan, huge.
Yeah.
So.
Only bad thing about that is we can't flex the whole AFC North being in the playoffs anymore. Texans took that spot.
No, we was going to.
We'll be back though. Hopefully not, honestly.
We would need
That'd be pretty cool.
Bengals to beat the Ravens, and then neither of us, maybe a tie, and then
I
we'd
don't
all
know.
be
I'm
right
not
there
rooting for a tie. That's
It'd
not
be
happening.
7-4, 6-3-1, and 6-4. Or wait, yeah. So
Either
we'll
way,
see what
crazy
happens.
division.
And then we're going to move on out to L.A. The Lions beat one in a barn burner over the Chargers. Keenan Allen, I believe, had 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, double-digit receptions as well. Huge game for the Lions to win, come out on top, won on a game-winning field goal. Great performance by Jared Goff, David Montgomery, and Jameer Gibbs went off. Amon-Ra went off. Lions offense looked great in this one. Definitely got to get the D together, but, Lions look good.
Yeah, this just feels like a classic Chargers game. Super high scoring. Herbert does everything he can. 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, over 300 yards. Still can't win the game. Defense just lets him down every time.
This is just Chargers football at its finest. There's nothing else to say about this one. Everybody saw this coming. Everybody in their right mind knew it was going to be a shootout, and it performed. It was a good game to watch. So great fantasy game, but Chargers defense and coaching lets down as always.
And now we're going to move on. A certain player made his debut this week. The Cardinals beat the Falcons, which I would like to point out I did predict. Sorry. Kyler Murray made his debut after coming off from a torn ACL this past year. He played very well, obviously, against the decent Falcons defense, but pretty rough game for the Falcons to lose to the 1-8 Cardinals. Taylor Heineke didn't play great. He threw a touchdown, but threw for 55 yards.
They benched him.
They benched him, but...
They benched him mid-game for Ritter, who ran for a touchdown.
Bijan finally got some carries, but other than that, pretty boring game, I'm not going to lie. But
Is Murray in his contract year?
No, he
has an
a
extension.
big extension, $250 million.
For how many years?
5.
5 for real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wondering about his future there.
There's still rumors flying around about what the Cardinals will do if they get a top pick.
Can't be freaking Clayton Tune.
He could be sent in a trade.
Yeah, you never know. Personally, I think they got to stick with Kyler. If they have a high enough pick, I would draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Because you can't really get rid of Kyler at this point.
Yeah.
He's kind of damaged goods with the ACL injury. He's not gonna they're not gonna get the trade value that they really want for him. So they kind of got to roll with him.
How about the Broncos? 3 in a row. You know what's crazy is I was wanting to predict this last week, but I was like, no way they go back to back.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you did predict it when it was.
You were probably no way
Geno got this right, and then I looked. I was like, oh, he didn't get it.
I wanted to take this so bad. I think I even brought it up. That I was like thinking about it, but dude, Russell Wilson, he's looked solid of late. Like it's like, still the trade was terrible, but like he's actually looking like he could maybe play there next year and not get benched. So Broncos. Out of nowhere, are a 5-win team, right?
Crazy game. I mean,
or 4-win team.
Having 12 men on the field is absolutely on the last play of the game is terrible.
We're gonna give a shout out to a friend of ours, Jake Morris, was currently sitting next to me while we were watching it, and he doubled down his bet on the Bills to win on the money line, and he was like, they're going to miss this kick, and they missed it. And he went crazy. He literally almost left the room. He was like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, brother, there's a flag. And he was like, no way. 12 men on the field on the defense. He lost his... I feel so bad. I was like, bro, if you, like, break some in my room, I get it, man.
That has to be pretty upsetting. Bills finally fired Ken Dorsey this morning after the game, which is rightfully so. He's terrible. Obviously, it's not hard when Josh Allen throws 11 freaking interceptions this whole season. I think Josh Allen's pretty overrated, but get Stephon Diggs out of there. Get him on the Browns.
Yeah, I think if Josh Allen and the Bills can't turn it around this season, it might be time to start talking about Josh Allen and if he's actually all that. Especially if Diggs ends up leaving. I think Josh Allen might get exposed for leaning on him too much.
All right, we're going to move on. We're going to kind of go to like an NFL. We're just over halfway point of season of kind of like where we think each team is heading. AFC East, you got the Dolphins who are now hold a game and a half lead, or about a game and a half lead on the Bills now, who sit 5-5. Dolphins are, they have an easier schedule than the Bills by far. The Bills' end of the season schedule is really rough. You guys think the Dolphins are going to win this division?
I think so. I mean, I don't see another team here that looks good right now. The Bills, obviously, we just talked about. They can't win right now. The Jets,
and they have a brutal schedule.
The Jets are not winning anything with Zach Wilson. I don't hate Zach Wilson as much as most people do, but he's just not a division-winning quarterback. And then the Patriots are just a train wreck. So I think this is the Dolphins to lose.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are easy.
Dolphins have the Jets twice, the Commanders, Titans, Raiders.
Yeah, Dolphins easy.
They play 3 real games. It's the last 3 games: the Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills. So that leads me to say, do the Bills sneak in with a wild card? Or is the AFC just too good?
Yeah, I think it's too good right at this point right now. From what it's looking like, no, they're not going to make it if they keep playing how they are.
Yeah, I got to wait and see how the offense looks without Dorsey. But right now, I think they're just going to get boxed out. There's too many other teams that have a chance.
Yeah. And about the Jets, I don't think this is a good move. But if this team is sitting in playoff picture still in December, do you let A-Rod play and basically just tear his ACL or tear his Achilles again and then end his career?
I think he's going to come back no matter what. I think
if they're not in playoff contention, there's no reason for him to come back. There's no reason he should play.
I think he's going to come back and play regardless.
And his career's going to end.
Yeah,
his career's going to end.
He's too stubborn to sit out.
Oh yeah, I know, and it's unbelievable. Big one for Sterling there. Big 3. Big Kentucky 3, you know where it's at. AFC North, brutal division. I think 3 teams are going to make the playoffs in this division. Right now, I just don't know who it is. I do think the Ravens are a lock, though, right now in the playoffs.
I don't want to be biased, but I think the Ravens and Browns are the locks.
Browns are locks.
I refuse to say the Browns are a lock.
You never just jinxed your team hard.
That was a terrible idea.
Hard.
The Browns do have by far the easiest upcoming schedule in the division.
You play us, then you play the hottest team in the NFL, the Broncos.
That's easy.
I'm relaxed on the Broncos, but
in Denver,
they're not that good.
In Denver,
we beat them in Denver a few years
ago. You guys
ago.
Definitely do have an easier schedule. I'm looking at it right now. You have the Jets, you have the Bears, you have the Jags. The Jags are alright. You have the Rams. I think the Texans are a sneaky game. I think Texans
could be tough, but I mean, regardless, the Browns definitely have the easiest remaining schedule in the division. So, I'm tempted to say I don't want.
I think it helps that
I'm not even gonna consider saying they're locks.
But you've already played
have this
four.
shot.
You've already played 4 division games, which is actually really
that's
good.
actually so refreshing for us because usually, like last year, we played. I think
we've only played 2. We are 2-0 in the division right now.
divisions.
A lot of people don't know that.
I like the fight we have. I actually do think the Steelers are gonna sneak in. I was looking at their schedule. It doesn't look as tough either. They play
It's solid. We have some easy games, but we have 4 division games left. Browns, at Ravens, and home and home with the Bengals.
This stretches
at Seahawks. We really only get the Patriots and Cardinals back-to-back weeks. That should be easy.
This Cardinals,
and we're probably going to drop one, knowing the Steelers.
Cardinals, Patriots, Colts is a pretty easy stretch.
Colts are not bad.
They're not good.
I don't think they're bad.
You could beat them.
You saw what they did to Yins, man. They gave Yins 38.
They did.
And we gave them 41.
We can't score over 30.
Exactly.
Matt Canada on the sideline.
Yeah, so if they dropped, I guess if they dropped.
Hey, Canada on the sidelines, low key different. Kenny's been the reason for late struggles.
The Geno Matt Canada fan art could go crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that to the side. So obviously, Steelers. I think. Do you guys think the Steelers have a better shot than the Bengals?
No.
Looking at the Bengals schedule, upcoming schedule,
Bungles.
Ravens, Steelers, Jags, Colts, Josh Dobbs, Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs, Browns. I see one game that's a lock, and maybe. You look at the Vikings and Colts. The rest of those are division leaders.
Dude, honestly, I'm
division
going to take
teams.
the Steelers so key. Their defense is just too good.
I think that should be interesting to see.
Steelers defense.
That blow to the Texans really hurt. It was kind of like It was kind of like the Bills lost to the Broncos. They needed that one, I really think. So, I think the Bengals actually. I liked them in the playoffs till that loss to the Texans. So I'm gonna say Steelers make it. I think they make it over the Browns though, like seed wise. I don't even know if Baltimore's a lock for the division. I know they're a lock for the playoffs, but I think some things can happen for them to not be the division winner.
It's fair.
We're going to now move to the AFC South. This one's kind of interesting. It's basically everybody but the Titans. I think this team division will obviously only get one team in, but you're looking at the Texans, who are a young team playing with a lot of firepower, kind of playing with nothing to really lose type of energy, and Colts kind of hanging around at 500. The team I have making out of this division are actually the Texans.
I mean, I can see that. Also, I feel like Texans and Jags can make it out, but I gotta choose one. I feel like the Texans aren't just gonna sneak in; they might just fall apart at the end of the year. But I think they could definitely make it soon. DeMeco Ryans is a great coach. They have C.J. Stroud and a high-powered offense. Definitely just got to get a little more pieces on the defense. They do have Derek Stingley coming back this week, but let's look to see. I'm just gonna take the Jags because that's a safe pick at this moment. But
I think we got to go into NFL scheduling here. Jags play 3 AFC North teams all back to back. Bengals, Browns, Ravens.
How many of those are home?
2. One of the Ravens one's home Sunday night.
Browns one's in
week
Cleveland,
15.
I think.
Yeah, that's the in between one. But those are 3 hard games. Other than that, they don't see too much hard games. Few Titans twice, division game. Panthers, that's a bye week, and then. But it'll be interesting. I think I could see them dropping all 3 of those. And at that point, you're on a 3-game losing streak. You just kind of call it, not quits, but the team kind of dies out, I think. That's kind of why I like the Texans.
I think the team might get a little depressed, but when you have the expectations they had going into the season, you're not just going to roll over. So yeah. I think I do trust the Jags more. It's so hard to make the playoffs with a rookie QB. Like I know the Niners technically did it last year, but they had a pretty nice jump start. Even if Purdy had dropped a couple games, they would have been okay. Just going wire to wire with a rookie QB and making the playoffs is so rare.
Yeah. We're now looking at the last division, AFC West. Obviously, Chiefs division every year. I believe they're running on 12 straight, something.
Something like that.
It's something crazy. Raiders, Chargers, Broncos, all around that 500 mark right now. The way it sits, if we're all saying 2 AFC North teams in the wild card, one of these wild cards are going to have to go to some other team. So is one of the teams going to grab a wild card spot?
No. I think the Chiefs. I think the NFC East will get 2. North will get 2. So that makes it 3.
AFC or NFC?
AFC.
AFC, never mind.
So you're thinking the Bills?
No.
You're saying the Jets?
No.
Low-key, I'll take the Texans.
Yeah, I'd take the Texans.
I'll take
over
either
any
the
of those
Texans
teams.
or just the whole AFC North.
Just got really confused.
I think Texans win. I can't put any bet on the Chargers with how bad of a late kind of game team they are. Wise, I think the Raiders are a scrappy team to make it. There is no logical reason with how bad of a roster I feel like they have, but they're scrapping together wins right now, and I think they can catch some momentum.
They did make it with Rich Bisaccia when he was the interim coach.
Yeah.
So they've done it before, but I don't.
I honestly think this division getting a wild card team is less likely than like the AFC North getting all 4 teams in.
I could see that.
Maybe the Raiders. I don't know. That's tough to say, but definitely not.
Now to the NFC East, I don't really think there's too much to talk about. Eagles are a lock on probably the 1 seed and getting that bye. Cowboys are sadly going to make it just because they know how to beat up on the bad teams, which is good for them. I think the Commanders are a sneaky team to look out for. I think this last wild card spot's for everybody because we know the Cowboys are getting one and we know the Seahawks are getting one. This last spot could go to so many teams. Right now, the Vikings are looking good with Dawes, but how long is he going to keep it up for? So I think Commanders you can look out for. And then you go to the NFC North. You have the Lions 7-2, probable lock. Vikings right now 6-4. They're kind of looking as that third wild card team.
Lions are definitely a lock. Vikings, we'll see how the Vikings do. Josh Dobbs, he's just got to hold up. I think they're getting Jefferson back soon, so that'll definitely help out Josh Dobbs a little bit. But other than that, I think the Vikings could definitely sneak in. There's not, obviously the NFC South is terrible. No wild card team from there is going to sneak in. So I think the Vikings could actually sneak in this.
Low-key, give me the Packers to make it over the Vikings.
At 3-6 right now.
I know they're 3-6.
I don't believe their schedule's like
they've had a lot of injuries that people are just ignoring for some reason. Their receivers have been banged up all year. Their running backs have been banged up.
Dude, their schedule's hard.
Chargers, Lions, Chiefs, Giants.
No, it's not that
Bucks,
hard. They have
Panthers.
They have
Vikings,
Giants,
Bears.
Bucks, Panthers, Vikings, Bears to end the season.
Next 3 weeks are tough. The last
They might
5
lose
weeks
3 in a
they
row,
win.
Sawyer. Chargers,
They're not
Lions,
losing.
and Chiefs.
I think they'll beat the Chargers. I think they'll win one of the other 2, and then they have an easy 5 games at the end. I think look out for the Packers. Book this right now. The Packers are they're going to be the 7th seed.
That's bold. We're going to move to the NFC South.
They got a young team. I think they got
Matt
it.
LaFleur's not a good coach.
All right,
obviously, no wild card. Saints, Bucks, or Falcons. Who's your pick to win?
Saints.
I wish nobody won. Give me the Saints, I guess.
Derek Carr's got the most experience of Saints. That's my only reasoning behind that.
I think you got to go with what team's got. This is really hard to choose. I think obviously it's going to come down to the last week of the season. I'm looking at the schedules right now, and the Falcons have a cakewalk if they just choose to take it. And I'm going to go with the Falcons. Who did you take?
And we both got Saints.
You both got Saints. Yeah, I'm going to take the Falcons to win it.
The fact this division is sending any team to the playoffs is
But
so frustrating.
I think it's really kind of like a throwback NFC East type thing where, and then honestly, I anytime I see like a team with like a negative record making the playoffs, division champ, I think of Tim Tebow being the Steelers that one year at they were 7-9.
Thomas.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas, R.I.P. Rest up. But
I know these teams can do things
see
in the
that
playoffs,
happening.
but it's just like the fact they shouldn't be there realistically.
and they're gonna go with the Cowboys. The Cowboys playoffs 2 words.
That's fine, but just because they can win in the playoffs doesn't mean they deserve to have the chance.
Yeah, but
There are
they
other
do if
teams
it's up
that
to
are
them.
like more worthy. I know it's not their fault that the rest of their division sucks and that they happen to sneak in.
Yeah.
But like from the outside looking in, it sucks.
Yeah, NFC West. Jeez, my lisp is on today. Niners, Seahawks. Kind of just gonna see who really can win this division. Other teams obviously gonna make the playoffs as well. Rams. I thought they were gonna have a chance at maybe coming back to life, but they dropped I think 2 straight. And the Cardinals. There's no coming back for this. So I think the Niners are gonna win the division though.
I don't know. Niners have They play
the
the
Seahawks will play twice though.
They play the Seahawks, Eagles, and then the Seahawks, and then it's
Ravens.
Ravens on Christmas.
If they can sweep the Seahawks, I think they got it locked.
Yeah,
Niners
for sure.
Ravens on Christmas is a good game.
Yeah.
I think
That is a very
Niners
good game.
Seahawks might split because those environments by themselves are like insane.
Yeah.
I think Seahawks are gonna win Seattle.
Shout out Spence.
That makes no sense.
Just want to say it, my roommate.
See a Seahawks fan?
No, he's a Bears fan.
Oh, that's
That's
even
tough.
worse.
Depressing. He'll make an appearance soon on this show. Coming soon is a possible conspiracy episode. It's a very likely thing that might happen.
It's called Sports Talk Trio.
It's a conspiracy. So
Wait, no, this isn't sports conspiracies. This is just
no,
conspiracies.
just conspiracies. Just conspiracies.
Can I
Everybody-
let someone else take my seat for that episode?
Oh yeah, you won't be here.
Okay, great. Appreciate
But
it.
we're hoping to get it on the YouTube.
Thanks for the invite.
So, we're gonna move over to predicting the big usual top 25 college football games. Records from last week: Drew 5 for 5, me for
Dang.
4 for 5, Sawyer 2 for 5.
We don't talk about that.
I have lost two. My record is insane. I'm like 17-19 right now.
Shit.
Two
Sorry.
losses only. Kind of got some interesting games this week. We're gonna start off in the West. Utah at Arizona. Need to see who I picked. Someone please go.
I picked Utah here. I think Utah's going to win this game, coming off a tough loss to Washington. I'm big on the coming off the tough loss. They like to come back. They're out for blood. But I don't know much about Arizona, and I know Bryson Barnes is very underrated, so give me Utah.
I'm going to take the upset in this one with Arizona. I think it was last week that I took Arizona State over Utah, and then Arizona ended up winning. I was talking about both Arizona schools, and I picked the wrong one for the upset. So probably Arizona State's going to win this week. But give me Arizona to upset Utah. They've been sneakily really good. They've won, I believe, 4 straight now, including over number 10 Oregon State. That was the big one. They did lose to USC, which is not a great loss at this point. But other than that, they've been really solid all season. Washington's their only other loss since besides week 2.
Yeah, if they could win out, they could be in the Pac-12
Yeah, they're looking really strong.
low-key.
And
They only
Utah's-
lost to Washington by a touchdown.
Utah's looking a little vulnerable right now, so give me Arizona State.
You mean Arizona, but yeah.
Yeah, these Arizona,
sorry.
they're both
It's
just,
all right.
They're both
It's-
so good.
It's a little late right now.
Both
But,
the Arizona teams are so good.
I'm going to take
I'm gonna
Utah. They are actually ranked 5 spots lower, and I believe Arizona's favored by 1 point, so not an upset. I'm going to take this is as even as it gets. Game is in Tucson, but I'm gonna stick with Utah winning this one.
We're going to stay out west with Washington at Oregon State. This is a big game. I think Oregon State just got ranked 11th in Washington. That's still a 5. I'm going to take Washington here. They're just one of the top teams in college football. They have a great story, obviously. This is at Oregon State, so a tough environment. I forgot the city that Oregon State plays in.
Corvallis, baby.
Corvallis is a very
Corvallis, Oregon.
Corvallis is a tough environment. By the way, of course you know that. Did you know that?
No.
Okay.
Corvallis, man.
And then, so I'm going to take Washington. I think this is going to be an air raid for both teams. So give me Washington, a close one.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said everything I wanted to say, so give me Washington too. Same reasons.
Give me the Beavers.
Never do
Give
that
me
again.
the Beavers. Please put that up. I will repost
That's
that.
cringier
Zoom in
than
on that.
that's cringier than JJ McCarthy.
Give me the Beavers. Big. Beavers big in Corvallis. I like a huge upset here.
We're going to look at the SEC. Georgia plays again. Sterling's hype. Kentucky just hit a 3. Georgia at Tennessee. By the way, I picked Kentucky and they're up right now. Let's go.
It's the first half, buddy.
Dude,
I
both
don't
these
care.
games
What-
have looked so slow.
Rob
You know,
Dilling-
I'll wait to talk until later.
Rob Dillingham's a dog. Just learned who that was. Georgia at Tennessee. I'm taking Georgia pretty easily. Tennessee's so overrated.
I think it's a clean slate with Georgia.
Yeah.
Tennessee, it's a miracle they're still ranked. So
Yeah.
they're ranked because they're in the SEC East.
I said last week I think Tennessee kind of sucks. I don't know why they're so high, and Mizzou handled them pretty easily. Give me Georgia.
We'll go to the prairie out in Kansas. Kansas State at Kansas.
We're going to Lawrence,
Lawrence,
Kansas.
Lawrence, Kansas.
I believe Kansas State is in Manhattan.
Wow.
I believe it's in
That one I
Manhattan.
knew.
Manhattan, Kansas. So if you ever want directions, anything geography-wise, come to me. I'm
Geno
your
will
man.
tell you every highway you need to get to
Yeah.
get to Manhattan, Kansas.
Dude, it's just 70, bro.
There you go. From where?
From where we're at right now.
If you're ever trying to go from Indianapolis to Manhattan, Kansas,
Just
take-
hop on
take
70 and then go past Kansas
Okay.
City, go for I think probably an hour, and then head north on one of them state corn routes. So
State corn routes.
that's what they call them out there.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas. Lost every respect for Kansas State for what they did against Texas, so just give me Kansas.
I got the rock chalk in this one. Give me Kansas. I like Kansas State, though. This is a bloodbath battle. Expect a fight or two.
I'm going to take the upset in this one. Sterling's going crazy over there. Kentucky's up 6 now. That's good because it distracts from the fact that this is purely a gut pick. I have no reasoning behind picking Kansas State here. But
You just don't want the clean slate.
Yeah, give me Will Howard, Kansas State. They've been solid this year. I mean, they only lost to Texas by 3 at Texas. That was good. They blew out Baylor. They've been playing close pretty much all year against these top end teams. Yeah, I mean, Kansas really isn't much competition compared to Texas and Missouri, Oklahoma State, all these teams they played. So I think Kansas State should have this one.
We're going to move on to our upset. Oh, wait, did you do your pick?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on to our upset pick. I'll start. I hate Las Vegas for this, man. So I was looking. This game's tonight, by the way, as we're recording it. I was going to do Toledo at Bowling Green. It was 10.5, and I looked earlier today. It's 9.5. Our rule is 10 or something.
Yeah, 10 points.
So I was going to do Bowling Green over Toledo, and the score right now is 20-25. Bowling Green is the ball. So that really hurts that I have to do that. So I'm just going to go to a more obscure upset pick. I'm going to take New Mexico State over Auburn. No reasoning. New Mexico State did win a bowl game against Bowling Green State last year, so maybe
Seems
that's
like some hatred in this pick right now.
Maybe that's a little Mandela effect. They beat Bowling Green State in a bowl game last year. Bowling Green never mind.
It's just Bowling Green. I hate the people that call it Bowling
BG.
Green.
I'll call it BG.
I have a buddy that goes to Bowling Green. I think his name's Nolan. I worked with him this past summer at Chipotle, so.
Is he the rice guy?
Nah, he was like the cook that would come in an hour and a half late and like never cared. And like he's a good dude.
Right, go ahead, Sawyer.
For my upset pick, I'm gonna take my hometown college. Not really, but pretty close. James Madison to lose finally this season to App State. I feel like we all know App State is just chaos when it comes to football. They've dropped 40 in like 5 games this season, so they definitely have the firepower to keep up with JMU. JMU's dropped 40 probably about 5 times too, but I think this should be a really fun game. If you're looking for a non-Power 5 game to watch this weekend, this is it. I think it's going to be pretty chaotic. Probably going to end on some crazy stuff, but give me App State over JMU.
Give me the herd. Give me Marshall over South Alabama. I don't know. I didn't even know South Alabama was good. I think they got 2 losses, but Marshall's always usually pretty solid. You can kind of bet on them. They usually make a bowl game. Conference USA, so give me Marshall. So we're going to now move a little bit of NBA talk. It's really not early in the season. Wemby's looked great so far. Kind of just making highlight reel. Both Thompson twins have been off. I think the rookies have been performing really well. Nothing really to talk about much other than the Clippers have lost 5 straight. 3 of those being with James Harden on the roster. I think it's just a sign that this dude's just a cancer and he's not going to help any team win.
Yeah, I said this. So we did the NBA episode, I believe right before the Harden trade happened. I had picked the Clippers as my Western Conference champs. And then when the Harden trade happened, I said it's a good trade for them. They didn't have to give up that much, but I think it's going to make them worse.
Yeah.
And so far, that's true. I think they just have too many guys. Like, there's a point where you have too many stars.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Russ is a good facilitator, so that helps.
Yeah.
But PG, Kawhi, and Harden, they all need the ball.
It's like, I don't know. You kind of try to relate it to like a Warriors team who's kind of had like a star pack team, and I think it's come down to the guys wanting to be unselfish or not. I think you have Curry and Clay. Well, Clay's kind of just a shooter, and Draymond's more of like Draymond's like kind of like the Russ of the Clippers because Russ kind of just out there doing scrappy defense and trying to make the most plays you can. But other than that, PG and Kawhi they both are more off the dribble type of guys that are going to succeed. I think PG can move more into like a Klay Thompson role, but his ego doesn't really want to do that. And then you throw Harden in there, I don't know what's going to happen. So
Clearly Ty Lue can't figure this out. I hope they figure it out.
Clearly. It's only been like a week.
They're 3-6. By the way, we found this out last week. What the hell is Kobe Altman doing? Why would he fire Ty Lue? Now we're stuck with JB fucking Bickerstaff. Fuck.
Going like 6 years in the past for this rant.
Now we're stuck with JB Bickerstaff. Sorry. So Ty Lue will figure it out. Great coach. Don't know why the Cavs fired him. It's beyond the point. But Harden will get it together, I think. Or Harden won't get it together, but I feel like they need to have a team meeting and figure everything out.
So elsewhere in the NBA, the Rockets, they started off losing 3 straight, but since then they've won 6 in a row. They're playing some really good basketball with Şengün's playing really well. Dylan Brooks, as much as people are going to hate to admit it, Dylan Brooks is really good at basketball. He's like
I've been saying this.
I want to say he's like the 3-point percentage leader right now, and he's clamping up. He talked a lot about LeBron too. He talked a lot of smack about LeBron. He ended up locking him up pretty well.
Yeah.
So I think the Rockets are. I don't know if they'll sustain this throughout the season. I don't want to call them a team to look out for yet, but they have a really good future if Van Vliet and Brooks' contracts are good. They're looking good for the long term.
Fred VanVleet's doing pretty all right to start the season, 17.2 points per game, decent field goal percentage, but the key to this team is Alperen Şengün. He's a dog. He's one of the best big men, not the best big men, one of the most underrated players in the league in general. He's a dog out there. He can move really well for a big, so I'm excited to see where the Rockets can go.
We're going to move on now to our college basketball recap and discussion. We're going to start with Butler, of course. I think all 3 of us were at the game the other night. I got there a little late.
Somebody didn't sit in the student section.
I sat right behind the bench. I was like 3 rows up.
We saw you in the stands.
Yeah, we got there. I don't know why. We randomly decided to go downtown at like 5:30 to go eat. It was really nice. And we
missed the show of the game.
This is the content people are here for.
Yeah, I know. Let's get to it. I've seen the video. Drew, he does not got that nice lefty stroke, I think. He does not got that nice lefty shot.
Hold on.
Who did you get beat by?
No,
I won.
I somehow won.
I faced Nick Frank.
So for context,
no
here,
way.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it like a?
Don't want to let me give
time?
context.
It was 20 seconds. I went first. I made 2. He made 0.
For real?
Yeah.
So that y'all know what's going on.
Drew airball.
Usually after the first media timeout at a Butler game at home, they'll bring 2 students on, have them shoot free throws for 20 seconds each. Winner gets like a breadstick coupon for their section. So Drew volunteered to do it for our section, and he went up against this other kid. Drew went first. Hopefully we can put the video in here. He airballed a couple times, ended up making 2 shots. Terrible. And then the other kid whose name you guys just exposed for no reason.
Yeah,
Dude,
sorry.
Frank, I'm friends with him.
Okay, well, if you're friends with him, it's fine.
Yeah, he's cool, bro.
He made 1 shot, so somehow Drew
2
finessed his
lefties
way
on the
into a
court,
win.
Yeah,
right?
we were two lefties.
Yeah, he's a lefty.
Well,
He brought out the
no
lefties.
wonder they sucked. But
He looked very confident going up there, and I was like, I'm screwed. And then I saw him start to miss. He airballed one. I'm like, it's over. I won.
yeah, so for all the bad shooting we see in college basketball games sometimes, that was about as bad as it gets. Thank God that was not the real game. But as for the real game, Butler again had a nice convincing win. This is, I believe, the 3rd straight game.
By around 40 points.
Yeah, that they've won by like 35 40 points.
35-ish.
Final score 81-47. There's not a ton to say here. I mean, it was pretty dominant. I think the key to this team is Posh Alexander. If he's like up on his defensive intensity and just kind of all around,
the team going.
that's going to get the team going. And if he's doing that against East Tennessee State, I don't see that ever stopping.
Yeah, what I saw in this one is, I think kind of my point about DJ Davis was really true. He went off. He's kind of like that guy, when he's up, he's up. He is going, had that step back 3 at the end of the first half.
That was nasty.
He was making everything, driving, really looked efficient. I think it will be interesting to see how Turnbull minutes kind of go from here on out. Landon finally did something offensive that I knew he had it in him. He's just real soft-spoken about it. He doesn't like to showboat too much.
Yeah, I mean,
Finley, he had more shot fakes than I think there are minutes in the game.
He had a rough night.
No. He played well. I think he's got to let it fly a little bit. He was shot fake and everything. He had that real nice, same side of the hoop reverse type that was really interesting. He looked kind of passive out there. They ran one lineup that I did not like at all. It was not a good lineup.
Bad.
I think you know what I'm talking about. It was just not a good lineup on the court. Jalen Thomas looked a little bit better.
It's because he got rid of the long sleeves.
I know, he didn't look like
That's why.
he didn't look like a stick figure, honestly. He looked like he actually had some weight on him. Telford's defensive presence is going to be huge upcoming in the season against kind of like, in the Michigan State game coming up. He's a good wing out there, defender, along with Pierre. It's kind of cooled off. He was big in the first couple games, but I think teams look good so far. I don't like how good we've looked. Saying that the Big East is like we're getting too much like love. I've seen a lot of Big East Twitter pages saying like their shot like Butler's start is one of like the big surprises of the year, even though we've played 3 terrible teams.
I mean, but we're
Eastern
winning
Michigan.
SEMO made the tournament.
We're winning by 30 though. Like last year's Butler team would win by like 10, 15.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't want too much attention around something that's
I respect
not
that.
gone off yet.
These
next
on,
5 games are huge.
Not to hate on like UNC because I love doing that, but like they've been beating teams like Bradley by about 20.
Yeah,
and that's about the same level as Butler's opponents.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think our opponents are a little bit more valid too.
Yeah, but I think the big mystery you mentioned Connor Turnbull. I don't know. All of Butler's campus seems to see that Connor Turnbull is really good, and he should be getting a lot more minutes, if not starting. The only guy that doesn't see it is Thad.
I think he's just missing some physicality.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key with him is he had 6 blocks against East Tennessee State, and I think he tends to chase the big play, especially on defense.
Exactly, yeah.
So he's kind of missing some assignments, maybe not rotating over like he should, sometimes overcommitting. But I would take the good with the bad. I would start him. So that's just me.
I wouldn't.
Should we give the inside information about Augusto's return?
So Butler freshman Augusto Cassia, who has been out with the
I'm not aware of this.
I believe a foot injury.
A muscle strain in his thigh.
According to him, he will be back. I believe it's when God intends.
Yeah, when God lets him know, he will be back.
Did he tell you guys that in class?
Our teacher asked. He was like, "When are you gonna be back, man?" And he's like, "Whenever God says, man." So that's a big, for everybody wondering when he's gonna be back.
Yeah,
God's got the time.
I know everyone was trying to figure out when Augusto Cassia was going to return to the court, but now you know.
Yeah, we're now going to get into talk. This is kind of like Sawyer's moment of the podcast.
I'm just going to shut up.
Well, I don't know.
Lost Friday night to Arizona. A really great game to watch if you tuned into it. It was back and forth, and then they bounced back tonight in the Champions Classic, beating Michigan State.
Caleb Love owns Duke.
All right, so first of all, I don't know if I want this to be my moment, picking Duke to lose and getting it right, but first of all, Caleb Love sucked like I said he would. He did suck. He had 11 points and 7 of them were free throws, and he had 7 turnovers. So he played terrible. But like I thought, Omar Ballo was a problem for us. He got our bigs in foul trouble early, especially Pieschalski, who's obviously key for us. And then besides that, I didn't get to watch all of this game, but the guards just kind of outplayed us. Like, Jeremy Roach was good. Proctor was all right. The key is, why is Ryan Young on the court? There's no reason that he can't do anything.
No, so
13 minutes, 0 points.
No, it is so bad.
Yeah, Ryan Young, 13 minutes, 0 points, 0 assists, 2 rebounds, probably 0 blocks. I don't have that on the box score here, but probably 0 blocks because he has a 2-inch vert. And he's a traffic cone on defense. So there's no reason he should be on the floor.
It's terrible.
Christian Reeves,
he's pick and roll on defense.
Christian Reeves got 3 minutes, and he had 3 points, same amount of rebounds. He's so much better defensively. I don't know what John Shire's doing there. But anyway, I did get that right. I am 2-0 on college basketball picks.
Kudos.
Actually, I believe 3-0 now that Marquette beat Illinois officially. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, they did. Who did I take?
You took Marquette. We all took Marquette in that one. But then moving on to the other Duke game, unless you guys have anything to add there.
No. I just thought it was a really good game. Arizona looked like a contender, as everyone kind of expected them to be. They looked really good, so it was definitely a huge resume win for them winning at Cameron. That's going to come down late in the season, probably get them up a spot.
We'll still lose second round, but whatever.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, so the other Duke game, which again I was right. They all hating on Duke.
Oh, Duke!
Something crazy just happened in the Kentucky game.
Sorry, that's my guy. I played against him in high school. That dude's a dog. He grew 7 inches going into his senior year, though. He was 6 foot, then went to 6'7".
Yeah, so we're watching the second half of the Champions Classic. In the first half, Duke did beat Michigan State, as expected, if you know ball.
If you know ball.
I mean, clearly one of us does. Again,
I know ball.
I am not claiming to know college ball.
Drew didn't claim to know ball. I'll give him that.
I know the NBA ball.
But
to an extent.
Again, Ryan Young is on the court way too much. Christian Reeves didn't even play in this game. I don't know what we're doing there. But Caleb Foster was the surprise of the game for me. He was like 7 for 8 from the field, led Duke in scoring, 2 big threes down the stretch. For Michigan State, I still don't think it's time to panic yet. The first 2 games, they just could not shoot to save their life. And then, obviously, Duke is not a great, get-back game. Which, unfortunately, I think Butler might be that game for them. But we'll get to that in a minute.
No, it's not.
We'll see. I think the big one here is Matty Sissoko only had 2 points. So the defense inside, I'll give John Shire credit. Maybe Christian Reeves didn't need to play because interior defense was good. Guards cooked us a little bit, but it's all good. Duke came out with the win. No need to panic anymore.
I thought, I watched this whole game as I was on the bed struggling from eating Mexican food. I still am. I'm not feeling too well. Stomach.
Where'd you go?
I don't even know. I went to some place in Broad Rip. I've never been there.
Condados?
Yeah.
It's gas, bro.
Dude, it was so good.
It hurts your stomach.
It
Did you get
hurts.
the tequila lime steak?
Nah, I got a
That would've
brisket
been a crazy
tacos.
call.
Those are good. Yeah,
Yeah,
we have a
really.
lot. We have a lot of condados back home in Cleveland.
Yeah, it was really good. So
Sorry
I
to
just
go off
want to throw
topic.
that out there to everybody.
Shout out Condados. Want to sponsor us. Hit us up.
Please.
I thought Duke looked so sloppy in this game. It was so bad to watch. They coming out of this win, it's a miracle because Michigan State also played ferocious.
Ferocious?
That's
Is that not a word? Can I not?
a word.
Is that not a
Atrocious.
word?
You either want to say horrendous or atrocious.
What did I say?
Ferocious.
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 You combine
sounds
two
like some
words.
kind of Roman god.
We're gonna look
with the
this up.
sun.
Is it a word?
There's no shot that's a word.
Yeah, bro.
It's on Urban Dictionary. That does not mean
Horrific and atrocious, bro. It's
Urban-
totally a combination.
It's the Urban
Okay,
Dictionary.
Geno thinks that Urban Dictionary is a very valid source for a word.
No, but ferocious. Do you say Sterling? Do you say ferocious?
Never said that.
Let us know if you say ferocious, because
Yeah,
that is not a thing.
Let us know in the comments below.
We'll do a poll. Caleb, they need to find some center help. Filipowski cannot play the center position.
That's what I've been telling you.
I did like to see. It looked like Filipowski's kind of the leader out there. He was kind of getting into some of the guards, telling them because they were taking some bad shots early on in this game. So it was good to see some leadership in that one. We're gonna now move over to our some of our college basketball game picks. Butler at Michigan State. I'm gonna start this one off. I'm taking Michigan State. We need to pick this up. Butler. I think we have a shot. I think we keep it within 12. We look all right.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to take Michigan State, too. I'll be happy if Butler hangs into this one. But I just think Michigan State's due for a get-back game, like I said. Butler should probably be that for them. I'd say if Butler keeps this to, 16 or under, I'll be happy. I think that's a decent showing, especially on the road at Michigan State. It's not an easy environment to play in for an inexperienced team. So give me Michigan State, but give me a moral victory for Butler keeping it close.
I'm going to take Michigan State too. I feel like I just hope Butler can keep it close, as you said. That'd be very amazing to see as a Bulldogs fan now / Ohio State fan. But I mean, if we can keep it close and control the rebounding game, I think we can maybe pull it out. But it's going to be tough, especially in East Lansing. They're going to be pissed off that they lost these 2 games. So I just really hope they keep it close.
We're going to move over to the Maui Invitational. Great event always. Always ranked teams in every year. We're going to cover a huge first-round game in Purdue and Gonzaga. I'm going off the edge with this one a little bit. I'm going to take Gonzaga and the Bulldogs. I've liked how they look so far. And then to win the whole thing, I have Tennessee, who's on the other side of the bracket, starting off against Syracuse to win the whole tournament.
For me, I have Purdue winning it all. I think they're going to upset Gonzaga. I mean, how about Kansas just getting an easy matchup against Chaminade?
They're in it every year, Chaminade.
Because it's in Maui.
Yeah, they
But
host it.
Shout out them.
That's like saying you don't know ball. Like that.
Okay,
people who know ball.
I've never claimed to know college
Hey,
basketball.
shout out Dick Vitale, cancer free today, and he's hoping to get back to broadcasting. He always does Maui Invitational usually. So
So give me Purdue.
shout out Dick Vitale.
Zach Edey's going to dominate.
No respect for Dick Vitale.
I love Dick Vitale. He's better than Bill Raftery.
That's crazy.
Better than Bill
Bill
Walton.
Raftery is so much better.
Okay.
But yeah, for Maui Invitational, I'm also going to go with Tennessee here. I'm a little worried that we both picked Tennessee in such a stacked field. There's 5 top 11 teams in this field. So the fact we both picked the same one is a little sketchy to me. But they're just really experienced. I think they're going to really not need that much time to gel going into this. Syracuse should be a pretty light start for them, so give me Tennessee to win it.
We're going to move on to predicting NFL games. So last week our records, Geno had the lowest at 7-7, which isn't.
I still lead all time.
No.
We're tied. Me and you are tied, and then Sawyer's down one game. So it's neck and neck.
Yeah. It's neck and neck. So we're going to get right into it. Thursday night game, as we talked about earlier, pretty good. We got Bengals at Ravens. Ravens tough loss to the Browns last week. But I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. It's in Baltimore. I don't know how much I like this pick right now, but I just feel like the Bengals play really well in primetime.
I could see the Ravens kind of collapsing here, and if they do, then obviously this is a Bengals win. But I think the Ravens don't lose 2 straight divisional games at home. That just seems a little far-fetched to me. I'm going to take the Ravens.
This is by far the hardest pick of the year. My mind's racing. Bengals, if they lose, they're at 500. The Ravens, I think after last week, they're going to be fed up, and Lamar's going to have this team ready to go. I wish there was like a skip button.
You can pick a tie. Unprecedented in Sports Talk Trio history. Pick the tie.
I want the tie for the next one. No, I'm joking. I'm going to go with the Bengals. I kind of see a slight collapse of the Ravens as my phone just drops. That's my bad for having it in my lap. I'm going to take the Bengals. We're going to move over to the game of the year.
Okay, that's
too on the podcast. On the podcast.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have like a 20-minute segment next week covering the game if it's close. But
the Zoom is going to be very...
Steelers
We're going
at...
to interrupt each other so much on that Zoom call.
Oh, I know. Steelers at Browns. You guys can go first. My pick's up in the air right now.
This is a tough game. Steelers absolutely own the Browns in history, but the Browns have kind of been winning most games in Cleveland. It's going to be a tough environment. Thanksgiving weekend, sorta, in Cleveland. That's different. I mean, when the Steelers play in Cleveland, it's crazy there. I'm sure it's the same in Pittsburgh. But I don't know. I just feel like...
We don't hype up the game for that type of shitty franchise.
All right. I feel like the Browns...
When the big boys come to town, you know...
Browns going to absolutely dominate Schittsburg.
I think the Steelers win over the Browns was a little janky last time. I'm not saying it was undeserved or anything, but
if we had Chubb, I'm sorry. I don't want to be biased, but we would have won.
You don't got Chubb now.
Chubb went out. There was that weird bounce on I think it was the pick 6 that had the
We are also
bounce.
never letting Jerome Ford switch field and go 80 yards again.
I mean,
okay, and we have
fine,
Kareem Hunt now who's going crazy this year.
The point is, that was a weird game. I just feel like the Browns can not get swept by the Steelers this year, especially with this one being at home. I feel pretty confident about this one. I really hope you take the Steelers, though, because I hate having a Browns sweep here.
Now you said that, you're just going to stay at the Browns.
Can you stand up and over the TV grab my terrible towel?
No.
So he won't do that for me, and I don't want to walk across the stage. I had the Browns because, I just don't like this game. I think it's a trap game for us, and I think this is kind of...
There's no trap. The Browns are good.
Where our luck kind of goes out. Can't switch up on the Berg like that. I won't do that to all Yen. So, give me the Steelers. We're gonna find a way. We've been running the ball way better. I think we've averaged 160 yards on the ground these last two
Browns
games.
Have the best run defense
with Broderick Jones in the starting lineup. If you don't interrupt, bud.
Broderick Jones is a dog.
Just let me speak. Sorry, our fans want to hear me. No. I want to go with the Browns. The fact that you just both have the Browns kind of pissed me off because I hate clean sweeps. They never happen. I feel like so. Give me the Lurs, baby. Give me the Lurs.
All right.
We're gonna lose.
It's gonna be There's gonna be some trash talk and some group chats during the game.
Next game, Cowboys at Panthers. That's a Cowboys clean sleet. Bears at Lions.
Clean sleet.
Bears at Lions. Clean sleet.
Man, I'm taking the Bears.
Dude,
you lost all your credibility with whatever the hell that other word
You
was.
don't know me good enough. I make up words.
Ferocious
and my own
so
friends
far.
know my language. They understand it.
You gotta put a Geno made up word counter. We got ferocious and sleet.
Dude.
Sleet's a word.
Well, not in that context.
Not in that context. It shouldn't be used, but we're using it now. All right, a little bit of variety here. This should be a good game. Chargers at Packers.
We're just ignoring the Lions-Bears game.
I said that's a clean sleet too.
These are both clean sleets. I guess.
My bad.
Trying to say I'm skipping shit. I ain't skipping none. All right. Chargers at Packers. You think Packers making the playoffs somehow? I think the Chargers finally find a win. This is a tough game to pick, but I like the Chargers.
The Chargers never win the games they're supposed to win.
This isn't the game they're supposed to win.
It is the game we're supposed to win.
It's a toss-up.
The Packers, they're going to be on the up and up now. I feel good about them for some reason. Like I said, they're my sleeper to make the playoffs right now, and it's got to start with the Chargers, with the win over the Chargers. If it doesn't, then that pick is probably cooked.
I'm going to take the Chargers kind of easily. I'm just not a big fan of Matt LaFleur and what he brings to the table for the Packers, so I think I'm going to kind of take the Chargers pretty easily.
Moving on to the Cardinals at the Texans. I don't really see what there's to like too much about Kyler Murray. I think Texans are on the come up, and I got them winning at home.
I'm also going to take the Texans. Cardinals are going to be riding high after they finally get a win. I think the Texans kind of win this easily. I think the Texans' defense just needs a little more pieces, and then they're not built for a Super Bowl, but built to maybe push in the playoffs. So give me the Texans easily.
Hey, they might not take the bus to Houston, but I think the Cardinals are going to have some fire in their gut against the Texans.
Stop.
I like where this is going. I trust Kyler. He was good last game. I think he'll be decent against the kind of rough Texans defense. And then I keep saying this. I feel like I say this every week with the Texans. They're just going to be inconsistent because they're so young, especially with a rookie QB and head coach. You're not going to get what you expect from them week to week. To me, I feel pretty good about this Cardinals pick.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick. It's definitely a toss-up. Next, we're going to move to the AFC South divisional matchup with the Titans at the Jaguars. I think the Jags are going to bounce back. They're going to win this one, but nothing crazy. I just think Titans are not really a good team.
I don't think the Titans are good at all. I don't know. They always win one weird game every year, so I guess give me them winning this game.
I'm making a last-second change from Jags to Titans. To be honest, I only picked the Jags because Geno made a pre-podcast change. He had the Jags. Or no, he had the Titans, and he switched to Jags. I didn't want it to be a Titans sweep. Yeah, you did.
Bro, he was changing my picks earlier.
No, I did not change that.
I saw 2 Titans picks.
You did have the Titans. You must have changed them.
I couldn't understand a Titans sweep there, so I had to pick the Jags. But now that Geno's taken the Jags, I'm going to jump ship and go with the Titans. 34-3 is kind of tough to bounce back from if you're the Jags.
My sleeper picks coming up.
I think they can do it, but I think it might take another week. I think Will Levis might light them up.
We got my sleeper pick of the week. Raiders at Dolphins. Give me the Raiders. I don't know if anybody saw the video of Max Crosby's interview with him just smoking a joint on a live broadcast. It was really funny. No context of why I'm taking them. I think they're hot right now. I think the Dolphins are frauds. Give me the Raiders.
I can agree with the Dolphins being frauds. I think Tua's pretty overrated, but I'm going to take the Dolphins. They play pretty good against these teams. But the Raiders are getting hot, so I feel like this is a really big game for the Dolphins to win. If they lose, it'll look pretty bad on them.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are frauds against good teams, but I'm not ready to say the Raiders are a good team yet. I think the Dolphins have this one. And then we got a nice tank bowl. I don't think we need to say much about this, but Commanders. Giants.
Commies roll.
Yeah,
Commies roll.
Sorry.
What's there to apologize for?
I don't know. Commies roll just doesn't roll off the tongue well.
Geno's a big commies guy.
Same thing with Buccaneers at Niners. This is kind of a more competitive game. I think we got the Niners in a clean slate, or slate, whatever you want to say it. I got the Niners win this one at home.
I'm going to take the Niners too. Buccaneers, they started off pretty good with Baker, but I don't know. The Niners are going to get hot again after their bye just the past week ago. I think they win easy.
I spilled all your pre.
Yeah, the Niners are back on track now. I think this is an easy Niners win over the Bucs. Then we got Bills-Jets, another divisional matchup. We're looking at Bills across the board on this one. I think we all feel like the Bills are going to get right in this game.
This can get ugly, I think, this game.
Enough said.
Yeah, pretty much. Ain't nothing to really say.
We're gonna move on to Jets at Bills. Give me the Bills.
I think we already moved on to that one, buddy.
We did?
We got Seahawks at Rams.
You're hearing it.
Someone's just not in the moment right now.
We just talked
and I'm the one stressing. I got a paper due in an hour, and I'm sitting here doing this.
I'm going to go, hey, this is fun.
I'm going to take the Seahawks.
Bills.
You're on the wrong game.
We did the Bills already.
I didn't say the Bills.
I said it's a sweep. A clean slate across the board.
Yeah. All right, Seahawks at Rams.
Continue.
I got Seahawks winning. I like the Rams. I think the Rams are a good team, but I just don't see them winning this game. I have a gut feeling in the Hawks.
I'm going to take the Seahawks, too.
Matt Stafford's back into the Rams.
Is he actually back?
He is back. The Rams are so bad.
Sorry for the confusion earlier. We're gonna move on to two of the
I'm
hottest.
switching to the Rams.
Okay.
Make
what I
that
like
it.
to
My
hear.
computer died.
Okay. Geno's Rams, but we're gonna move on to
Lowercase is foul.
It's so foul. It is so foul.
Bro, you're taking.
We're gonna kind of switch over to two of like the weirdly hotter teams in the league right now. In the Josh Dobbs led Vikings and Russell Wilson's Broncos. This game's in Mile High. I think Josh Dobbs is eventually going to lose a game, and it's going to go to the Broncos, and they're going to be 500 at the end of this week. The gut feeling.
I'm gonna give it to the Vikings, or no, the Broncos. I have the Broncos.
Are you here?
Yes,
Are
I'm,
you okay?
I'm fine. I thought I was the middle for some reason. I'm gonna give it to the Broncos. This is gonna be a tight one, but I think Josh Dobbs isn't gonna play well against a good Denver defense in Denver too.
Hey, Josh Dobbs and the astronaut, he can handle the altitude. Give me the Vikings over the Broncos. And then maybe
Super Bowl preview.
Game of the year candidate, Super Bowl rematch, Chiefs-Eagles. I'm taking the Chiefs in this one.
Dude, I don't like picking with Drew, bro.
Yeah,
Bro,
All
why?
these picks I'm picking with Drew.
I don't-
I don't like this.
To be honest, though, I don't love my Chiefs pick. I don't. Like, when I'm trying to think of an explanation for it, I can't logic my way to picking the Chiefs, but it's just going to be the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I just think I don't know. It's at Geha Field.
It's at what?
It's the new. It's actually
It's GEHA Field.
Geha.
It's not Geha.
That's how they pronounce it in Madden.
It's GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium.
Okay. GAHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. I'm going to take the Eagles. It's a Monday night game. This is tough. I might want to switch, but I'm going to stick with the Eagles. I feel like teams that win their Super Bowl rematches like this, I feel like it goes the other way. Like when the Bengals and Chiefs played and then the Chiefs win or something. I don't know. I have no reasoning. I just think the Eagles will pull it out. This has been Sports Talk Trio. Thank you for watching. I've been Drew Pieschalski, Sawyer Goldwein, and Geno DeFrank. Look out for a Zoom episode coming next week as we're going to be on Thanksgiving break. And thank you for listening. Bro, swag.